Well, the homecoming for Rick Barnes in Austin, Texas was spoiled as Tennessee couldn't quite complete the comeback. A comeback nonetheless, the good, the bad, the ugly from Tennessee and the SEC Big 12 Challenge. Plus, Tennessee football adds a commit for the class of 2022 and some former Vols who were in postseason all-star games this week. All that and more here on a Monday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into a Monday edition of Locked On Vols. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here today. I am your host, Eric Cain, at Locked On Vols on Twitter and at _Cainer on Twitter. You can follow this podcast 5 days a week wherever you listen to your podcast, plus on YouTube. Already up to over 230 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much. The goal is 1,000, so 230 in about a little over a week span. Couldn't thank you guys enough. Let's continue to add to it. Every morning, 9 a.m., the new episode drops on YouTube. All right, we got Twitter Tuesday tomorrow. Don't forget to get in your questions, your comments, your concerns on Tennessee football, basketball, recruiting, whatever you got. We'll have a Twitter Tuesday show. But what you guys want to hear today is about the shortcomings in Austin, Texas. All right, Man, it was close, right? It was such an ugly basketball game, and that's what we envisioned when kind of previewing this basketball game. You had the number one scoring defense in the country in Texas going up against a top 5 defensive efficiency or adjusted efficiency rating team per KenPom in Tennessee. And so it was going to be a rock fight, much like what Tennessee and Texas Tech was earlier in the season. So we knew that it was going to be kind of an ugly basketball game. We knew the struggles Tennessee have had offensively all season, and especially against teams with, elite caliber defenses, Texas Tech, and of course LSU at points in times, and then on Saturday, Texas, of course. And so we knew it was going to be kind of ugly. Didn't think that it would get that bad in the second half. I mean, you had Texas that had a 17-point lead at one point in time with just under 8 minutes left to go. And then credit Tennessee hitting the comeback trail, a 17-2 run, or 15-2 run, one of those two. And Tennessee brought it up, tied this ball game, and had a chance to win it there towards the end. And so let's go ahead and break down that last play, okay? You got 6.5 seconds or whatever on the clock. You have Zakai Ziegler, running towards the baseline. And again, I you guys know me. I don't pretend to be a basketball expert. I speak football. I see football. I breathe football. I know what's happening in football. And I mean, of course, I'm a sports fan, so I get basketball, but I'm not an X's and O's, diagram, type guy with the whiteboard on the sideline, course out of the basketball game guy. That's just not me. But I mean, it's pretty obvious. Zakai Ziegler was given the opportunity to drive to the rim. If it's there, take it. If it's not, kick it out. Find the open man. And in that scenario, Tennessee could have had a number of different options, receiving, the basketball whenever it's kicked out. And so you saw Double Z drive to the rim, and I thought he was fantastic in this game. Texas completely shut it off, okay? Texas shut it off. That was going to be a no-go. He kicks it to Triple J. And I know what you're thinking at that point in time. Anybody but Josiah-Jordan James, right? And, for his career usually, and especially this season, you're talking about a 25% free throw shooter, or a 25% shooter from beyond the arc. That's not who you want to take the shot in that situation. However, he was the open man. It was a wide open shot. Also, Josiah-Jordan James, his offense has come on recently in the last 3 to 4 SEC games. Hadn't been fantastic, but it's been much better than what it was in the out-of-conference game as he continues to get healthy. Also, going into that shot there towards the end, Josiah-Jordan James was 3 of 6 from shooting from downtown in that game. Had 11 points in the game up to that point. Was the second highest leading scorer for Tennessee. So I'm not trying to just defend Triple J here and say that you shouldn't be mad at him. I mean, he missed the shot. It is what it is. He spent, post-game apologizing and all that. I thought that was completely unnecessary. It's a game. You shoot, you make some, you lose some, right? But that was the right play to make at that time. He was completely wide open. He'd already hit 3 3-pointers in this basketball game. He had 2 big ones just right before that. And so I had no issue with that shot. Now, as you can see, people go back and they break down slow-mo. They take screenshots and everything. When he got the ball, the guy guarding Vescovy in the corner fled to Josiah-Jordan James. He could have simply, bounce pass it over to his right. And Santiago Vescovy would have had a wide open look in the corner to win the game. Now, there was enough time to do that. So I'm fine with Josiah-Jordan James taking that shot. If he would have passed to Vescovi, I would have been fine with that. Number one, again, because it's an open shot, it's a clean look. Number two, yeah, Vescovi was awful in this game. I mean, he was he was 1 of 8 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3-point range. He finished with 3 points. He was not on that night. However, he's been your most consistent offensive player the entire season. So if Vescovi would have gotten an opportunity to take that shot, I would have been completely fine with it. I hear you. Some of you guys are going to say, you don't even need a three. Don't even need a three. Yeah, you're right. You don't even need a three. But again, it was an open shot, and Zakai Ziegler had the option to take it to the rim. If he would have continued on, maybe he picks up a foul, but he was swatted the possession or two before that as well. So I'm not criticizing that last play and how it developed. That's not what I'm doing. But I certainly understand the frustrations of seeing Josiah-Jordan James being the one that takes that shot with the game on the line. So it is what it is. You can't sit here and dwell on it. Tennessee, you just can't have those lapses in offense where you don't score for minutes at a time. Tennessee does. I mean, that's going to be its downfall. Tennessee has an elite defense. Tennessee has a truly elite defense this year, and they're going to waste it right now the way that they're playing. It's going to be a complete waste because the offense is nowhere near as consistent enough. So you had a point in time you had a chance to win it there at the end when Tennessee was awful on offense. Shot, for the game, 35% from the field. Again, 27% from beyond the arc. Only took 18 threes, which was good. 5 of 18, but just abysmal once again at shooting the free throws. Tennessee loses a 1-point game, 52-51. You want to make differences in that game? Make more than half of your free throws. 8 of 16 from the charity stripe. Make one more free throw. Maybe it's overtime. Make 2 more free throws, and you win that game. Don't foul somebody at half court, doing the half court, buzzer beater heave. Olivier Cumwad did it again. Euros Plavsic did it earlier in the season. Like, what are you doing? Don't have lapses on the offensive end that goes for minutes and points and times in this game. Point to those situations. Be frustrated with the loss. That's fine. Be proud of the team, in my opinion, for their effort coming back. A 17-2 run, getting back, or a 15-2 run, getting back in this ball game when Texas led by 17 in the second half with less than 8 minutes to go. Quite a comeback. Pat yourself on the back. But in my opinion, and again, I'm not a basketball expert, but in my opinion, how that last play developed, I have no issue with it. Okay, a wide open three, he took it. A guy that made 3 threes in this basketball game already, he took it. Had a chance to throw it to Vescovi in the corner, he didn't. But even if he did that, a guy that wasn't on in this basketball game, I would have been fine if he would have took it as well. If Zakai Ziegler would have continued on to the rim and put it up, maybe he would have been fouled. Ziegler in the game, he was 2-2 from the free throw line. So maybe that's what he should have done. But he also got his crap swatted a little bit before that. So it is what it is, right? It's unfortunate. It's frustrating. Tennessee comes up 1 point shy, 52-51 on the road at Texas, and Rick Barnes' homecoming. Thought the video tributes and everything they did for Rick Barnes, before the game was awesome by Texas. I think they understand kind of, I think they like Chris Beard. Chris Beard's a defensive coach, had Virginia, had Texas Tech in the national championship just a couple years ago. He's a defensive-minded coach. He uglies things up. Very much what Rick Barnes likes to do on offense. But I think they've got a good coach now. But I mean, the post Rick Barnes era with Shaka Smart. I mean, they've not won a postseason tournament game since, and so I think they understood how good it was whenever Rick Barnes was there. So I liked all the homecoming festivities, if you will, for Rick Barnes. I thought that was really, really cool. It's a sour way to end it because Tennessee came back, and I mean, Zakai Ziegler was fantastic during that run. Just incredible. I mean, he is turning in to a superstar here at Tennessee, and without a doubt is going to be a fan favorite, and he will be around for 4 years. I mean, there ain't no way that guy's going to go to the NBA early, right? So, and that's no slouch to him. That's just point blank. He's 5'9". Okay, no NBA player, no NBA prospect's going to be leaving college early to test the NBA draft waters, in my opinion, like that. So he's going to be here a while. He's going to be a fan favorite, and he was a huge reason why Tennessee was in that game there towards the end and had that just ginormous comeback when everybody else, including myself, was counting Tennessee off, saying, "Oh my goodness, this offense is pathetic." I stand by that. It's still pathetic, but it's still Tennessee plays hard and gives themselves a chance to win. But gosh, you could help yourself out so much more if you stop doing the stupid crap like fouling with the half court heaves. I don't care if the guy was jumping into you. Got to be more aware of that. Making your free throws and not just going minutes and minutes of time, points and times in the game without scoring an offensive basket. A couple of things to stood out to me really, really quick before we hit the reset. Justin Powell played 11 minutes in this game, didn't shoot a didn't attempt a shot in that game. I mean, what are you doing? This has happened countless times in the season with Justin Powell. You're playing more than 10 minutes a game and you don't attempt a shot? How's that even possible? That was just not good. Vescovi, we talked about his shortcomings. Olivier Cumwell, I thought, was pretty solid. He didn't have the best shooting day overall, but finished with 9 points, was pretty solid at the free throw line, had 8 rebounds. That was pretty good. Uros really added nothing in this game. John Fulkerson really didn't add a whole lot in this game whatsoever. Victor Bailey Jr. saw his minutes increase, going back home, the hometown kid. Played 17 minutes, only had 2 points, 1 of 1 from the field, but he played really, really hard. I thought gave Tennessee a lot of energy, a lot of hustle plays that don't show up on the box score. Tennessee only 22 points off of 19 turnovers, 18 turnovers for Texas. Rick Barnes said at postgame they might be one of the worst teams in terms of converting points off of turnovers in the country. That has got to increase so much more, and Tennessee is just abysmal in shooting free throws, and it gets them again. So again, final score, Tennessee 52-51 falls at Texas in the SEC Big 12 Challenge after an awesome comeback, falls just short, and Tennessee will regroup and get back to work later this week. All right, so we will talk a little bit more about Tennessee football and a commit that jumped on board over the weekend. But first, I want to tell you guys about this incredible app everyone who buys gas needs to know about. It is Get Upside. My listeners are earning cash back for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now, and there you can use that promo code SCORE for 25 cents per gallon or more on your first fill up. Cash back. Don't pay full price to the pump anymore. Get cash back by using Get Upside. Just download the app for free and use that promo code SCORE for 25 cents per gallon or more on your first tank. Some people who drive a lot are making up as much as $200 to $300 in a year in cash back, and there's no catch. The cash back gets added right to your bank account. You can cash out at any time via the accounts, PayPal, e-gift cards, Amazon, and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use the promo code SCORE to get up to 25 cents per gallon off or cash back on your first tank. That is promo code SCORE at Get Upside. All right, we're back here on a Monday show, segment number 2, and Tennessee football adds a commit for the class of 2022. Going to tell you all about him. His name is Jayson Jenkins, right here on Locked On Vols. Again, I'm your host, Eric Cain. Thanks so much for hanging out. Don't forget, Twitter Tuesday is coming up tomorrow, so give me your questions, your comments, your concerns at _Cainer on Twitter, at Locked On Vols, and we'll get him on for a Twitter Tuesday show coming up tomorrow. So, who is Jayson Jenkins? Well, class of 2022, 3-star, a strong side defensive end, 6'6", about 260, and he is from Lawrenceville, New Jersey, where he attends Notre Dame High School. Tennessee needed help on the defensive line. Yes, you brought in Tyree West. You added Jordan Phillips in the class of 2022, and those are 2 impact players. Tyree West especially was a huge win for Tennessee on National Signing Day back in December. And Jordan Phillips, he's been a long-time commit for Tennessee, but the thought was that he was kind of teetering towards Florida, and if Dan Mullen would have stayed put and that staff would have stayed put, potentially he would be in Gainesville right now, but Tennessee was able to hold on to him as well. But the Volunteers needed help on the defensive line, specifically in the interior. Yes, you went out and got James Pierce. You went out and got some other guys that can help out on the outside. And that Joshua Josephs and Caleb Perry, some guys that can help out that Leo spot, although Perry's probably going to play inside. But you needed some more bodies inside. Why? Because you're losing Matthew Butler this time, who's competing in the Shrine Bowl. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. You're missing out on Caleb Tremblay, on Jaquan Blakely, 3 guys who are very much in the rotation who are no longer, in your system anymore. And, this defensive line, it was greatly improved. It was very much improved compared to where it was when when Jeremy Pruitt was here. But Rodney Gardner, I call it the Rodney Gardner effect, and how things can transpire over the course of a coaching change. But Rodney Gardner will be the first one to say that group is still nowhere near where it needs to be. Yes, it helped aid in a single season record for tackles for loss for the defense, the linebackers, and really everybody had a lot to do with that, not just the defensive line. But they're a big, it starts with them up front, so they're a big part of it. So sure, you had that score record, but you need a more consistent pass rush. You need to plug up those holes more and shut down the run game and allow your linebackers to go run around and make plays. So it's very much a work in progress on the defensive line. So you lose 3 impact players, one of which is a real impact player, Matthew Butler, that were on that defensive line rotation. So you brought in 2 guys in the early signing period. You signed them. That's great, but you still needed some help there. Ahmad Moten is a 4-star South Florida, defensive line prospect that Tennessee's very much after. Tennessee's still hoping that he will sign with the Volunteers later this week on National Signing Day. However, he was in for an official visit a couple weekends ago. He was at Miami this past weekend, and Miami's going to get the last laugh. Oklahoma's also in the running as well, or some other top programs around the country. So, hold out hope, sure, but not banking on that. So Tennessee needed to add a body, and they got a body in Jayson Jenkins. Jayson Jenkins is a very much a projectile, down the road player, in my opinion. Before, I write a piece called an impact analysis for volquest.com every time Tennessee gets a commit, and I go through and I'll watch film. I'll watch film on these guys a lot of times when Tennessee's recruiting them, but, I really go back and study the film, take notes, and watch a lot of it before I write this piece. And, going through, the biggest takeaway for me in evaluating Jayson Jenkins is a lot of potential, a high ceiling, but nowhere close. And that's in my humble opinion. Work in progress, does have size and, have size on his side. He's got a solid base where he has a whole lot of room to add some weight. And that's obviously going to be critical to survive in SEC play. I would expect him to arrive in summer. He's not going to be an early enrollee, obviously. Expect him to arrive in summer and start benefiting immediately from a Power 5 strength and conditioning type program that he's going to see at Tennessee. He's got great hands, easily his best attributes. Dip rep, SWAT rep, simple, just, going up under the chest plate. His hands are his weapon. And that's what you need when you're a defensive lineman. You got to have great hands. I always talk about this story. When I was at Carson Newman, and I would walk by, after practice or before practice or something. And the defensive line coach, who was just a complete nutbag, but he was awesome. His name was Dan Redding. He would, he really, if you guys are listening and know who I'm talking about, he's the man. He would always have his defensive line out there just practicing, hand jabs and swats and all that type of stuff. And it looks like they were literally playing patty cake. I laughed. I didn't understand at the time, even though I was playing football. I knew you got to use your hands, but I mean, you just sit there and you practice your hand swats and all that type of stuff. But no, it's critical, and that's a huge asset for a defensive lineman. So I get it now more than anything. But this guy's got great hands. Let's bring it back down to it. Also has a really good spin move. I think he's over reliant on that spin move. That's about really all he has in terms of a pass rushing technique outside of his hands. But he does have a good spin move, using with a good, firm plant foot and all that type of stuff. He was obviously, an impactful player. He was the 17th ranked prospect out of New Jersey, constantly back there pressuring the quarterback in the opposing backfield. So, that's kind of the biggest takeaways that I had from watching film. He also has a high motor. He chases down ball carriers from the backside, squeezes his gap, that type of stuff and all. But the more he practices, the more he's in the weight room, the more he learns from Rodney Garner. I think down the line in a couple of years, he could be a guy that, Tennessee could count on. Again, he's got great size, 6'6" already at about 260. Yeah, about 260. So he's got the base, got the foundation, just about what Rodney Garner can turn him into down the line. So nonetheless, that's a little bit on Tennessee's newest commit in Jayson Jenkins. He will be a part of the class of 2022. He'll put pen to paper on Wednesday whenever it is National Signing Day. Again, Tennessee hopes to maybe sign one more, but if this is it, don't be shocked. Tennessee will continue attacking the transfer portal, whether it be, very soon, whether it be, throughout the rest of the spring semester, but also over the summer when more spots become available. Tennessee will bring in some more via the transfer portal. So that's a little bit on Jayson Jenkins, the newest commit for Tennessee, a 3-star defensive tackle here committing to the University of Tennessee. All right, we'll conclude our show talking about a little postseason action for some former Vols down in the Shrine Bowl and at the Senior Bowl. But first, it's a new year. That means New Year's resolutions. And if yours is about getting fit, eating healthier, make sure to include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, maybe even better than a candy bar. All right, Built Bar makes it easier to stick to your New Year's resolution because it tastes so good, you're going to want to eat it. Unlike some protein bars, which can be chalky, waxy, or flat out tastes like a chemical spill. You want to eat healthy, but it just gets so boring at times. We're going to want chocolate, and that's good news because Built Bar is covered in 100% chocolate. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein compared to a lot of candy bars that are up to 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Here's an idea for the new year. Go to all your secret treat stashes at home, in the pantry, in the office, in the car, wherever. Throw out all those sugary or calorie-filled treats. Replace them with some Built Bars. So when you're craving a snack or a treat, you can reach for something that's healthy and tastes incredible. That's Built Bar. Plus, they got incredible flavors like raspberry, peanut butter brownie, coconut almond, cookies and cream, salted caramel, and mint brownie. Go to Built.com, use the promo code LOCK15, and you're going to get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15. That's it for 15% off. It's all at Built.com. One more segment left here on a Monday Locked On Vols. Really having a good time chatting about that Tennessee game over the weekend with you guys and about a Tennessee football commit. And now some former Tennessee Volunteers who will put their talents on display later this week in 2 postseason All-Star games. Welcome back into Locked On Vols. It is your team every single day. And in fact, now your team, of course, is the Tennessee Volunteers. That's why you're listening to this show 5 days a week, wherever you get your podcast, completely free. And thanks so much for making it your first listen. Make it your first watch as well at YouTube every single morning, premiering at 9 a.m. Don't forget to go ahead and subscribe. Already up to about a little over 230. The goal is 1,000. Making great progress, guys. So thank you so much for that. All right, Twitter Tuesday coming up tomorrow. Questions, comments, concerns, get them in at _Cainer. Those DMs are open. Slide on in like Chris Collinsworth and at Locked On Vols. So who are these former Vols that are going to be playing in some postseason games? What are those postseason bowl games? Where are they? Where can I find them? What time? What day? All that type of stuff. Well, the most notable one is the Reese's Senior Bowl. Of course, that game will be on Saturday, February the 5th. So this Saturday coming up, from Mobile, Alabama at 2:30 Eastern time. I'm not sure who's carrying it. Probably the NFL Network, if I had to guess. We'll have to find out. I'll find out later in the week. But nonetheless, is the Senior Bowl. That's going to be on Saturday. Tennessee will be well represented at the Senior Bowl. Cade Mays, offensive lineman, will be there. Alontae Taylor, or when I say will be there, already there, starting the practice sessions. I believe tomorrow is when those get going. But offensive lineman Cade Mays, cornerback Alontae Taylor, and wide receiver returner Velus Jones Jr. Those are the 3 representatives for Tennessee down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. We have got a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, probably 30 to 40 people involved with the network that are going to be in Mobile this weekend. So really hoping to get some guests on. Might get our guy, Zach on from Locked On Auburn to come on and act as kind of a field reporter. Might get some, media availability opportunities to where I could jump in virtually. Going to try to bring you guys some coverage a little bit from Mobile from these 3 guys leading up to Saturday's Senior Bowl. But just what an opportunity, right? I mean, I've said this so many times. It's not the game. Sure, you want to perform well in the game, absolutely, on Saturday. But it's the week leading up to the game. I mean, you've got every single organization for the National Football League that's going to be there. It's going to be present, going to be watching, all eyes on you. So it's a great time for a guy like Cade Mays to maybe build that stock back up a little bit. A guy like Velus Jones to maybe become a draftable player without a doubt. A guy like Alontae Taylor to up his stock a little bit. Awesome opportunity for all 3 of those guys. And Tennessee is well represented at this year's Senior Bowl down in Mobile, Alabama. That Senior Bowl will be happening on February the 5th. That is Saturday at 2:30 Eastern time. Another postseason all-star game to take place. And I think this is the oldest one. I'm not too sure, but I think it's older than the Reese's Senior Bowl. Again, once they leave college, I don't really care. So I haven't paid attention much to this, but the Shrine Bowl, of course, we've all heard of the Shrine Bowl. And it's been around for, I think this is going to be the 97th playing of the Shrine Bowl this year. That game's coming up on Thursday, February 3rd. So this Thursday at 8 o'clock. And I believe that game will be on the NFL Network as well. We'll have to find out. But that game is a part of the Pro Bowl week festivities in Las Vegas. It'll be at Allegiant Stadium. So all those guys are down there practicing at UNLV this week. Practice already started. I believe it was on Saturday. And Tennessee's representative down there is Matthew Butler. And he is showing out so far through the first 2 days of the Shrine Bowl practices. Matthew's going to be on Team West, the West team. I'm not sure how those teams are picked. It's like the Memphis Grizzlies being in the West. Makes no sense to me, but whatever. There's representatives there from Kentucky who are playing in the East side. So I don't know why the University of Tennessee, which is located in Knoxville in the Southeastern Conference, is focused on Team West. Maybe there's something to that. I don't know how this works. Usually I don't pay attention to it, but I wanted to try and start doing that a little bit this year. But Matthew Butler's down there, and for all intents and purposes, he is showing out already. I've seen countless tweets. One of these from Jordan Reed, who is ESPN, a draft NFL draft, analysis guy, expert guy, studies, goes all this type of stuff, works very closely with Todd McShay and Mel Kiper Jr. He tweeted this out on Sunday morning. Matthew Butler flashed through the first day of practice at the East-West Shrine Bowl. Quick first step, active hands, firm at the point of attack. From drill to drill, he continued to put together standout moments. Last season, Butler recorded 47 tackles, 8.5 TFLs, 5 sacks, played in 53 career games, and a 5-year stint. Went on and listed some notable guys that stood out for both the West and the East at the Shrine Bowl through day one practices, and Matthew Butler was on that list as well. So looks like Matthew Butler is showing out, is sticking out and making his presence known. Matthew Butler is a guy, and again, there's countless, probably not as many as the Senior Bowl, but I would go ahead and assume that every NFL organization is represented at the Shrine Bowl. Matthew Butler is a guy that can solidify being a draftable player this week. And if he continues to put forth practices like that, from Saturday to Sunday to Monday to Tuesday on up until Thursday's game, that will be huge for a guy like Matthew Butler, who, again, Tennessee's going to miss so much this year. Was that play fantastic this year on the defensive line? No, but Matthew Butler played so many snaps and he was so good. And you talk about a guy that, coming in 2017, that got better and better and better and better. Just stay the course. He's perfect example of just staying the course and seeing what can happen if you continue to work hard, trust the process, and just try to win each and every individual day and see what happens at the end. He turned into to be a really, really good player. So good news there on the Matthew Butler front from the Shrine Bowl. Like I said, going to try to get some contacts on who are down at the Senior Bowl, who are at the Shrine Bowl out in Vegas. That's hopefully what you have to look for coming up on the show as the week continues. 1 year anniversary for myself hosting this podcast coming up on Thursday. Part of the Twitter Tuesday we got coming in tomorrow. If you want to roast me, go ahead and send them in. If you want to roast me, give me your best Uncle Rico joke, hair joke, frat boy haircut joke, whatever the case may be. Throw it in there. Floor is yours. 1 year anniversary coming up. If you want to send in a little bit of a roast, get them in at _Cainer and at Locked On Vols. Really, really thrilled to be your host here on Locked On Vols. It's been a blast and been really, really important for me in my career as well. So it's been a whole lot of fun. All right, that's going to do it here for a Monday show. Appreciate you guys for stopping by, making Locked On Vols your first listen. If you want to stick around, make your second listen Locked On Bet, your one-stop shop for all your wagering, sports wagering needs. Your boy Q, handicapping expert Lee Sterling. That is Locked On Bets, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We got Twitter Tuesday coming up tomorrow. We'll get our buddy Ramon Foster back on the show at some point this week as well. Talk Tennessee basketball, football, National Signing Days coming up in a couple of days. Won't be as active for Tennessee, but still something to talk about. There's never a dull moment. Always content here available for your Locked On Vols podcast. Guys, I really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much, and enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody.